guys, it's Sarah, and today we are going to talk about my over the summer / turned into the last part of the year book outlet reading plans. I had this project I wanted to do. I started it over the summer and I put all of my book outlet books onto a shelf in my bedroom, and I told myself I was going to read nothing but book outlet books over the summer. I was going to make a big dent in all these books that I got from there, and I wasn't very successful. Because of that, at the end of the summer, I did kind of like a little update thing where I decided to go ahead and extend this project through the end of the year just to give myself some more time to make a dent in those books. And I didn't make a dent, but I did get 8 books read off that shelf. So it wasn't a complete failure. I wanted to do a lot better at it at the same time. I wanted to try to knock at least maybe 2 shelves off of that. And I just didn't get that far. And, it happens. I wanted to read other stuff, or I had other commitments to read other stuff. So I don't think I was very realistic in how much I could actually get done compared to some of the other commitments I had already made. So it's all right, but I do have 8 books to talk about, so that's not too shabby. So one book that I read off that shelf was Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. I absolutely loved this book. This was my first Brandon Sanderson book, and it is the first book in the Reckoners trilogy. I have purchased the second book from Book Outlet, and as soon as the third one pops up on there, I'm going to grab that one too, because I definitely want to continue with this trilogy. This is kind of a futuristic dystopian type of thing. It is young adult, and it follows a boy who desperately wants to join this group called the Reckoners, and they are kind of uprising against the very corrupt government that is going on in this version of Chicago, which is kind of a futuristic version. And the government is actually also kind of superhero-ish. They have lots of powers that they can use to overtake people, and that's kind of how they became into power. And it was fantastic. I loved it. It was really fast-paced. I was never bored. It was very interesting, the science behind it, and the way that this became this type of society is so incredibly interesting. There was a really good twist at the end here too. So I am really excited to move on to the second book, and I am planning to do so early next year. Another one that I read was The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, and I really enjoyed this book. I actually ended up listening to this on audio as well because it is narrated by Claire Danes, and the audiobook was fantastic. And this one follows, again, kind of a futuristic dystopian type of thing, and it is set in a time when certain women are very marginalized, and they really don't have any rights. They have to wear these certain uniforms, and they are kind of forced to be the concubines for households that are more privileged and either can't or don't want to have more children physically. And so these handmaids are kind of tasked with that. They are also kind of servants. They cook and clean and do all that kind of stuff too. And they basically have no human rights. It was very interesting. I am really, really excited to watch this TV show. I've heard very, very good things about the TV show that is on Hulu. So I am definitely going to be trying that out here very soon. And yeah, it was good. And the next one that I finished is November 9 by Colleen Hoover. And I loved this book because I love Colleen Hoover. I know she's not for everybody. I know she's problematic. I know this. I have a brain. I know. It's fine. I still love it. I'm trash for it. I don't care. I'm not apologizing. I loved this book. This book made me cry at the end, which has not happened for years, I think. And I just absolutely adored it. I love the story. The characters were very flawed. I got so mad at both of them so many times, but then I was rooting for them, and then I was mad at them, and then I was rooting for them, and then I was mad at him, and then I was rooting for them, and I was mad at her. So it was very, very roller coastery in this book, but I absolutely loved it. I adored it. I loved it. And I also read a duology off my shelf, so that was fun. I got to read both books in this duology, and that is the Wrath and the Dawn duology by Renee Ahdieh. First one is the Wrath and the Dawn. The second one is the Rose and the Dagger. And I really, really enjoyed these books. These are young adult fantasy books, and this is kind of a retelling on 1001 Nights, where there is a king. He has a curse set upon him to where he is actually marrying a new woman every single day, and by the end of the day, she is dead, and then it all starts over the next day. This follows a girl named Shahrazad who actually goes to the kingdom. She volunteers to be the king's wife because he has killed one of her best friends. And so you really see them meet, and you see why this is happening. You see a relationship blooming between them, and I loved every second of it. I really, really did. It was very adventuresome. I liked the first book a little bit better than the second book. The second book took a long time to get to the actual action of it, but I still really enjoyed the story overall, and I loved these two main characters. I loved their relationship together and how it blossomed and where it went. I loved them together so much. And you probably shouldn't, but oh my gosh, just what they bring out in each other is fantastic. And lots of twists and turns in here. Lots of things happened that I didn't see coming, and I loved it. It was a great, great duology. There are two books that I completed and I actually have unhauled, so I don't have them to show you, but one of them is The American Heiress by Daisy Goodwin, and this one was just okay for me. It is a historical fiction, and it follows an American girl who is pretty privileged. This is set in the 1800s, and she is basically looking for a husband to really take care of her. She wants to keep her comfortable lifestyle, but she also wants to fall in love, and she really is struggling with both of those things. She ends up marrying an English duke, and so she moves to England to be his wife over there, and she meets a lot of hardships because of that. And it was fine. It wasn't fantastic or amazing. I'm not dying to go pick up any more of her work as of right now, but it was a decent read. And then I also read The Gatecrasher by Madeline Wickham, that's actually the real name of the author, Sophie Kinsella. Sophie Kinsella is her pen name. So this is written under her real name. And this one was fine. It follows a woman who is kind of a gold digger, and she has a routine where she attends funerals of wealthy men, and she kind of uses that to hit on and pick up other wealthy men who are at the funeral. So she really kind of builds on their grief and takes advantage of that. And it was fine. I think I ended up giving it 3 stars. It was a fun read. And then the last one I have to talk about is actually one that I DNF'd. I did make it halfway through this book, but it wasn't for me. And that is So Much Pretty, and this is by Kara Hoffman. This book was just strange. I got halfway through it, and it's not a very long book, but halfway through, I really had no idea what was going on. And I thought to myself, if I'm halfway through this book and I have no clue what's happening, there's a problem. So I don't know. All I know is that a girl disappeared, and then it talks about the members of a certain family, but halfway through, I didn't know how they were connected at all. And it just didn't make a ton of sense to me. So I just DNF'd it, and it's fine. Okay guys, that is it. So those are the books that I read off of my book outlet shelf that were part of my book outlet reading project. Again, wasn't as successful as I wanted it to be, but it's okay. Lesson learned, I guess. But I did read 8 books off of it, so that is not too shabby of a start to try to make a dent in some of these books. Please let me know down below if you've read any of these books and what you thought, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day. Bye.